Continuing our discussion of dot notation in the Node.js driver, I'd like to look at one more example. In this case, using dot notation to access documents that are embedded as elements of an array field. So going back to our Facebook example, you'll remember that there is an offices field. Okay? And as we discussed, offices is an array field where each element in the array describes one of the company offices. It's sometimes interesting to see what companies have offices in which countries. So this particular document indicates that Facebook has offices in California, in Dublin, Ireland, and in New York. So what I'd like to do is demonstrate using dot notation to allow us to query for companies who have offices in a particular country. So we'll have to use dot notation to access the offices.country code field in order to do that. Now, the reason why we can use dot notation in this case, a way to think about it is that for every element in an array, MongoDB essentially conceives of the data as if there were a separate document, in this case, a document representing all of the Facebook data, for each one of these entries here. So it's very much like there is a Facebook document that has an offices field that has a single embedded document for the Menlo Park office. And then there's a completely separate Facebook document that has a single embedded document for the Ireland office. Now, in point of fact, that's not actually how MongoDB works, but that's a good mental model to keep with you as you think about using dot notation to reach into embedded documents like this. That is, documents that are embedded within arrays. So going back to our application, here's an updated version of our command line app. And here in our query document function, in addition to dealing with founded year, employees, and IPO, we're now dealing with country. And I can specify country on the command line using this -c alias. In this case, I want to query for all companies founded between 2004 and 2008 with more than 100 employees who have an office in Ireland. How am I going to do that? Well, similar to the way we use dot notation here, I'm going to use dot notation here to add yet another field to our query document. I'm going to take the value for country as specified on the command line, and I'm going to assign it to the offices.country code field. Offices.country code. Okay? So running this, okay, we can see we got 5 matching documents. Our query document has a range for founded year, number of employees is greater than 100, and we've stipulated offices.country code of IRL, or Ireland. Okay, now the output looks a little interesting. Let's talk about that. In order to do that, we need to go look at our projection document within our application. Okay, so our projection document says exclude_ID, include name, include offices.country code, and IPO.valuation amount. Okay, so by including offices.country code, we're saying for the offices array, make sure you include in the output the country code field. The semantics of that in MongoDB are that for every element within the offices array field, I will get country codes printed out. Okay? And what's valuable to us in this case is that not only do I get to see for each company, in this case Fleetmatics, that yes, they do in fact have an office in Ireland, but I also get to see other countries in which they have offices. In fact, I can see here that there are actually 5 different offices in the US. And this company here, Populous, has offices in both Ireland and Italy, central reservations in Ireland and Spain. And of course, Dropbox with offices in the US and Ireland. Okay, so you can use dot notation to specify fields within embedded documents. You can also use dot notation to identify fields within documents that are embedded within arrays. And again, that's because MongoDB essentially treats each one of these entries and embedded documents in other arrays as if there were multiple copies of this document, each of which had a single document like this as an embedded document value for this offices field.